All right, so here we go. So everybody, this is my first time doing a live video with some folks that are going to give their story today, and I'm just so thrilled, incredibly humbled that I have Rob and Christy here. They have a story that they're going to share, and I think it's going to blow your doors off. I'm prepared to get my doors blown off, and I'm just so happy. I met Rob through my job. And Rob, tell us if, well, just the name alone. You don't have to tell us your employer if you don't want to, but just the name alone is interesting.
Miraculous how God works, and to for me and you to come together in such a way under the name of blessings is
Yeah, it's cool.
I think that's
Yeah,
God's
amen,
work right
amen. Yeah. So tell me, I got a little bits and pieces of your story. We only briefly met. You had to get back to work, and we've kept in contact since then over the phone about trying to get together on this. And you gave me some of your story last week, and some more in depth. But go ahead, I'll let you start wherever you want.
Well,
I don't know where to start.
well, I mean, it's like I said, it's our story, but where do you want to start from?
I guess what's the beginning? I don't know.
Well, all right. So the gist is all right. So
We met in high school.
we met in high school.
He went to the military shortly when he graduated.
Yeah, and we were
2
distant for years.
Yeah, a couple years. And tell the
So anyway, long story short, we hadn't seen each other in like 3 years, and I asked her. I said, "Hey, you want to get together?" She said, "Yeah," and she was in a relationship for how long?
5 years.
5 years in that relationship, but we just had such a strong bond, and we just knew we wanted to be together. And she came down like a couple days later. She was there in Ocean City, and which is hours and hours away from where we're from. And she got dropped off, and we got married like 3 days. Was it 5 days later?
5 days later,
we got married.
Wow.
Hadn't seen each other in 3 years.
Yeah.
We didn't even know each other's favorite color or any of that stuff. But the heart wants what the heart wants,
Yeah.
And we got married immediately, and we have been through some ups and downs. But I mean, to be together for 17 years, I think is a grace of God.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, we've been through a lot, but really, the main focus is the fact that I was programmed and brought up and raised in a certain way, which I'm sure you're familiar with, that the man's role in a relationship and a wife's role in a relationship. And I think that I took great advantage of someone that God had placed right in front of me, like literally an angel to me. And I had everything I ever could have wanted from someone on a daily basis, that amount of love and attention. And I took it for granted. And it really spiraled out of control in our lives. And, where do you want to chime in on that?
I mean, just, he was very rageful. And especially the first 14 years we were together, it was very violent. And a lot of abuse started off on his part, but then it turned into both of us being abusive toward one another.
Physically, mentally,
spiritually, emotionally, financially, you name it, we went through it.
Hating on the one person that's right there next to you the whole time, not seeing the beauty of God's grace right in front of you. And, we were each other's. No one could love me more than she could, and no one could hurt me more than she could.
Yeah. And what made that even worse is we had a drug addiction. Went back and forth with drugs and alcohol. Lost everything again and again, and got it back.
And from what kind of drugs are you talking about here?
Okay, so we started off. It was like perk 30s and
prescription pills.
Like prescription, heavy prescription, and then prescriptions get so expensive that the heroin's cheaper. So you buy heroin, and the heroin turns into a lot of heroin, turns into fentanyl, and and then it spirals from there. Crystal meth, crack, cocaine. I mean, no drug was off limits. When you're a true drug addict, there's no you're not discriminatory towards anything. When you're a true drug addict and a true alcoholic, that is your life. That is your breath. That is what you live for. You lose your humanity, and it just devours you in every aspect
around you.
And it echoes and ripples throughout your entire life, and it affects your children and your family and your friends and your workers, and you just don't see the damage, the time you will not get back with loved ones. And it's just so powerful, the effect that it has. And it all stems from the inside. It all stems from a way you feel about yourself, and having that ripple out, and you see that reflected upon the people you're affecting. And it all started with how you feel about yourself on the inside. And you just take it out on the world, man. And the more.
How long did that go on for?
What's that?
How long did that go on for?
We were using pretty much 15 years. And it got to the point where we became IV drug users. And on a daily basis, we were using heroin, meth, crack, cocaine, alcohol.
Yeah.
And that was just the bare minimum. It didn't include any other drugs that happened to be around.
And once you cross that line and start putting a needle in your arm, brother,
everything goes in the needle.
Everything goes in that needle. And
it's a horrible way to live. I mean,
you don't see, you don't.
Very traumatic.
You don't see what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah.
I don't care what people say until you walk a mile in those shoes and you understand what that life is like, to be homeless, living in a tent in the woods, and lose custody of your children. And I mean, the dearest family members you ever had are so far away from you. The closest people, that your most closest confidant, and they couldn't be further from you. I mean, emotionally, spiritually, physically, you are isolated, and then you become a complete savage, and your humanity's gone. It's horrible.
It is.
It really is.
What ended up happening is 13 years into all of this mess, we had 3 kids throughout this process, but the violence between us was so bad. Like, it was, we almost killed each other several times.
On both
law
parts.
Enforcement involved in all that stuff too?
What's that?
Law enforcement involved in all of that stuff too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it got to a point with the abuse and the drug use that our family members took our kids. Rightfully so. They should have. We couldn't take care of them. We couldn't even take care of ourselves. And you would think that would
be an eye opener.
Be an eye opener, yeah, but it wasn't. It just paralyzed us, and it made us against one another even more.
Yeah.
So to be closer to them, we ended up coming to Delaware, and ended up living on the street. And we lived in Tent City for about 1.5 years in Georgetown and in Milford, Delaware.
And when we were homeless in Milford, and
throughout that time, we tried to get treatment. We were in and out of treatment facilities. Nothing was working. We actually went to a treatment center, got out, and he relapsed that day. I don't know how, but I made it 5 days, and then I relapsed. So then we're using again. We're feeling like this, we're not going anywhere with this. We're not going to get clean. Nothing's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
So we ended up walking to Milford United Church in Milford and Dover, Delaware.
Shout out United.
Yeah, shout out to United. We walked there from our tent. And,
how far was the walk?
It was probably only like 35-minute walk.
Yeah, yeah.
And so to give context to this day, so I was withdrawing, and I had taken Suboxone, but I had taken it too early, and the fentanyl was still in my system.
Yeah.
So it made my withdrawal so worse. So worse. And I wake up, and the last thing you want to do when you're sick like that is to do anything. But we got up and we said, no, we're going to go to this church. We're going to try it. And literally, and we're not the kind of people that put a whole lot of faith in God for years, but something had changed.
This whole time I'm thinking
something had changed. Something had shifted deep.
Yeah.
Deep.
Yes.
You couldn't get, when people say bottom of the barrel, go about 10 feet deeper than that. And that's where we were. I had overdosed and died several times.